Welcome to As-Info Podcast, a European format showcasing independent journalistic investigations developed in collaboration with local communities. A project designed to inform, delve deeper, and build new grassroots narratives.
Today we are discussing the investigation done by Georgiana Anghel in Romania. This investigation reveals Romania's severe mismanagement of the flood defense system. Despite having one of the EU's highest flood rate deaths, authorities in Romania have missed the occasion to spend wisely millions of euros to prevent floods. A project called Raw Risk that should have prevented and helped out mitigating the flood risk is now inactive, and our investigations show how 6 million of EU funds were spent on this system. Walk us through a little bit through the topic that you have researched. What are the main points of it, and it's very important for the public to understand why did you choose this topic? Why did you wanted to do a story about environment?
Looking at environmental stories and stories related to climate change that have been published in other countries, in Europe especially. And last year I also attended a very important event, Arena Climate, where I learned a lot about this subject. And I wanted to focus on climate adaptation because for the last few years, we've seen in Romania included extreme events related to climate change. Like we have, during the summer, we have a lot of very hot days, no rain. We have, even in Oradea, where I'm from, we experienced storms that we never had before. So I wanted to look how our cities mainly are adapting to the new climate context that we live in. So basically, here is where I started. I was also concerned as a citizen, not only as a journalist, to see how we're going to deal with these changes that are waiting for us in the future. So yeah, basically this was the reason.
And what did you find after the weeks of research and interviews and reading documents and putting together sheets, Excel sheets and things like that?
Basically, we found out more than we expected to. That's why our investigation is spread on 4 different chapters. First of all, I found out that very few cities are doing something regarding the climate adaptation. Plus, we found out that we have few institutions, public institutions, that were supposed to implement climate adaptation, or actually not implement, but follow the whatever projects are there and the money that are spent for climate adaptation and climate change. And they are not actually doing this. And I think one of the most important findings was we put together, or we tried to put together, the money that Romania spent on climate adaptation. And we look at the projects to see how they were implemented or what's the status of the project. Plus, we checked the companies that took money to implement these projects. And this was a very interesting finding because we saw the same companies that did business with the government for the past 10, 20, 30 years, some of them. They've been doing the climate adaptation projects as well.
So how does this issue affect Romania? What's the damage that do you think we are supporting due to the misuse of public funds?
So basically, Romania has the most infringements because of the way the country is dealing with environmental problems. So I think that's why it's important to look at the way the country is trying to deal with the climate change and climate adaptation as well. We need to keep a tab on how the government is doing this so we can raise awareness, because at the end of the day, we're going to pay the bills. So that's why I think we need to look into this and see if the government is doing a good job about it or is doing something, and how is implementing these projects.
When you say that in the end we are gonna pay the bill and this is the citizens, if you are, let's translate this to regular citizens, what does that mean? So if the money that we have, EU funds, national funds, are not spent on dams, on reforestation, on all things like that, how do we end up paying this bill, in your opinion? What's like concrete effects for citizens?
The most important thing for citizens is the fact that we've seen, and there are studies that show that climate change can affect the health of the citizens. Like the very hot days are affecting the elderly, kids, and people that have health problems. And this is only gonna increase in the future. Plus, I've spoken with doctors, and they told us, for example, because we don't have enough cold days during the winter, the spread of Lyme disease could be a problem in the future, because the tick, the insect that is giving the Lyme disease, is living throughout the year. So we don't have only the summer period where the tick disease is a threat and can give this Lyme disease to people. Tick now, it's all through the year around, and this is going to put, of course, people will get sick, plus it's going to put pressure on the health system. So this is one of examples. Plus, we're going to face economical losses. We're going to face also the insurance part. We have very few houses in Romania insured. Because of this, the losses that comes with the extreme phenomenons are more in Romania than in other countries.
During this project, you collaborated with NGO partners, with experts. Can you tell us who were these experts and how was the collaboration, and how do you see this relationship between a journalist and people who come from the activist zone?
So I think it's very important for journalists to collaborate with the NGOs, because the NGOs can have data and knowledge that we as journalists we don't have. They have like the NGO I worked with, InfoClima. They are basically a network of scientists that want to raise awareness on climate change in Romania. So they have the people and they have the data that as a journalist we don't have it, and that can explain some things, some phenomena that we don't understand. They can explain what we can expect in the future. Yeah, they have all kind of data that we can use to raise awareness and to investigate what's happening, what is the government doing, how people will be affected by climate change. So I think this NGO journalist is a very important relationship for NGOs as well, because sometimes they have a lot of data that doesn't reach the public, because maybe it's not in a form that public is drawn to, or maybe it's not put in such a way that the public can read it and understand it. So it's a win-win relationship. We as journalists can get a lot of information and data from them, and we can do investigations or all kind of articles with that data, and they can make their information and their data available to the public.
This podcast is part of S-Info, a European project funded by the EU, focused on media and driven by the need to strengthen democracy. The views expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the position of the European Union. Discover all the investigation on sinfo-project.eu.